Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie, and I believe that the right book at the right time can change lives, and that all readers should read children's literature, especially adults. So that's what we do here on the KidLit Love podcast. We celebrate all things children's literature: picture books, early readers, middle grade, and young adult novels for readers of all ages. In each episode, we'll talk with children's literature authors and discuss their books, their hopes, their dreams for readers, their writing process, and much, much more. Whether you're an adult reading to their inner child or connecting the young readers in your life with fantastic books, you've come to the right place. So grab a notebook to build your TBR, and let's get to today's episode of KidLit Love. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the KidLit Love podcast. I'm Stephanie Affinito, your KidLit loving host, inviting you back to another bookish conversation with a children's literature author. Today, I'm talking with Sarah Scheerger. Sarah is the author of multiple books for young readers, middle grade readers, and even young adult readers too. Titles like The Boulder Brothers, Meet Mo and Joe, Operation Frog Effect, and How to Live on the Edge might be in your own library. She's here today to talk about her newest release, Dude, Be Nice, a book inspired by the real-life Dude, Be Nice project. This picture book follows an adorable bear named Dude who thinks he's the nicest bear in town, but quickly learns that sometimes the nicest thing a person can do is ask if and how a person wishes to be helped. It's a book for all readers, young and old, and I cannot wait to talk with her about it. So let's get right to the episode. Sarah, welcome to KidLit Love. I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am especially excited because this episode, where we're talking to you and we're talking about Dude Be Nice and we're talking about niceness and kindness, is releasing on World Kindness Day, which is so exciting. So, listeners, if you're listening in real time on the day this comes out, you're celebrating in a very special way with a very special book. I don't know how I figured out how to do that, Sarah, but I'm glad I was able to line it up.
So,
So let's start the good old-fashioned way with some introductions. Tell us a bit about you, a bit about your books, and the journey you've taken through children's literature.
so I'd say I've always been a book lover. I was the kind of kid that would spend their summers with a huge pile of books from the library. And I think in my upper teen years and college years, some of that love faded away because I was so inundated with schoolwork and classwork and readings I didn't always choose. Um, but I came back to books and to writing when I became a mom and I was reading books to my own children. Um, and I remembered the love and excitement I had for stories in general. I love all stories. I love books. I love movies. I love people's stories. My day job is I'm a school-based mental health professional, so I provide counseling in a school setting and also a clinic setting. And I just love listening to people's stories. So stories are a true love for me.
Yeah.
And when I became a mom, I started writing more seriously, took some classes, started submitting books and manuscripts. And of course, the journey takes a very long time.
Yeah.
um, but eventually I was able to sell some books. And now I think this is my book number 10. So it's been quite a journey.
And book number 10. Okay, tell us
Mhm.
tell us about a couple of them before we jump into Dude Be Nice.
Yeah. Um, my first book was called Tip Tap Pop, and it was about a young girl who loved to tap dance and her grandfather who also loved to dance. And as he began aging, he developed dementia and he lost his ability to speak, but he could still communicate with her through dance. So that was my first book I sold. Um, and I think a lot of my books have a little bit of that social emotional learning piece to it because of my day job in mental health. So that was my first one. I've written in all ranges. I have an easy reader. You spoke about the Boulder Brothers Meet Mo and Joe. That is a silly story about cave brothers who speak in incorrect grammar, but that's also great for kids who are learning to read that need to read very short, simple sentences. One of the chapters called "Who Stink" or "Me Stink?" question mark. So it just very simple sentences and all with humor. And I realized later on that something I was doing in that book that I think I brought through in my other books is playing with perspective and point of view. So in the story, the reader knows quite a lot more about what's happening than the characters do. So in the first one about stink, the characters have no idea what smells, but the readers can see that there's a skunk in the background. And so the characters are running around doing all kinds of ridiculous things like picking flowers and putting them in their armpits or, taking baths and scrubbing their cave. And the reader all along knows it's the skunk who's in the background. So I love that ability to play with point of view and perspective to create humor in a book like that. And I have used that in my other books as well. Um, my middle grade novel, Operation Frog Effect, is told in 8 points of view. And there I could also use point of view and perspective to create conflict and drama and humor. Each of the characters shares their own part of the story through a journal format. So letters, one of the character writes his section in movie script. Another one shares their story through graphic novel format, another one through poems. So there's 1/8 of the novel is graphic novel, and the rest of it is regular text, and some pages with sparse text on the page. That
Wow.
was a fun book to write. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally can understand your love of perspective in books like that because you said earlier like you love story and you love books with those emotional components. And there's just something about being able to not step back sometimes and reflect on your own life, but to be the person that knows something the characters don't and gets the perspective that can be so hard for us to get. I really feel like there's something magical in those perspective books. They just help us see things differently that, maybe we could take away in our own life. And I always find them so engaging as a reader.
Totally. And I think they create empathy. When you're reading a book, especially a really good book, you almost become the character. You
Yes.
see the world through the character's eyes. You're almost walking in their shoes, and that's empathy. And so I feel like, again, there's a lot of overlap between what I do in the mental health field in a school setting and what happens through literature. And I pulled that out in Dude Be Nice too, because Dude is trying to be very, very nice. He's trying to be extra nice. In fact, he's going to do everything nice all day long, but he's egocentric. So he like many developmentally, like many young kids are seeing things through their own eyes and they're not really seeing the impact on other people or taking a second to think about, wait, how might this feel to somebody else?
Right.
And I have to say that honestly, that's a lot of the conflict in the world is people forgetting to think about other people's perspectives or how something might feel to somebody else
Yeah.
on a global scale.
Yes. And while the book isn't divided up in ways like you just mentioned your other book, there is, without giving things away to the
Yeah.
reader completely, there is something that the reader has perspective on that Dude does not, that is just wonderful. So that's all I'll say.
Yes.
I don't like to give spoilers, but I do love to give teasers, and I think
Yeah.
that is a really good one. So tell us a bit more. We both kind of previewed a little bit of what Dude Be Nice is all about, but tell us a bit more about it. And I would love to know the origin story and the inspiration behind Dude Be Nice as well.
Absolutely. So, I feel like everything dovetails into my work life too. So, in my
Mhm.
in my day job as a school-based mental health professional, many times I'm providing psychoeducation classroom discussions about a variety of social emotional learning topics. And so, many moons ago, I was researching for a topic to share with a group of students, and I was looking for kindness, kind acts, things people doing in the community that promoted altruism and kindness. And I came upon this company who has a project called the Dude Be Nice Project. And their mission is to create more positive communities in the world. And they do this in a variety of ways, but one way is they set up these elaborate celebrations and surprises for the unsung heroes in our schools and communities. So the first video I saw happened to be filmed somewhat locally to me, and the school was honoring a very special custodian. So all the kids got to join in and plan this elaborate surprise. They call it they caught it all on video. And what I walk away from with that is not only is that so special for that custodian who's probably was, I think, in the job like 30 some years and just connected with the kids and was one of the special people on campus, but it was also very special for the kids that got to give back. And that's that altruism. And I feel like we don't always give that enough credit, but it feels so good
Yeah.
to do something kind and meaningful for somebody else. And we need to celebrate that too.
Yeah.
So when I saw that video, I just got excited about the company. I started watching some of their other videos. All the videos make me tear up. So if you haven't seen a video of theirs, I highly encourage you to go look. But it's just a range of essentially unsung heroes.
Yeah, I will admit I did not know about the project until I came across you and your book. And of course, I spent some time digging into it and getting the backstory. And it's one of those internet sites where you're going to leave feeling better than when you logged on. And that is really rare right now to have a space where that
Yes.
kind of news is celebrated, and it just felt good. I may have been teary, but it was the
Yeah,
good
it's a
kind of tears where
yeah.
they really are carving out a beautiful space on the internet and in the world.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if you only get your view of the world from what you see on the news or hear on the radio or see in your feed, right, that gives you a very different view of the world than what you might get if you lean into some of the positives. And when I think about the people in my own little circle, like the people I work with at my school, my colleagues, my friends, my own children's school, the majority of people are doing good things in a meaningful way for the world. There's so many more people putting good out there than there are people putting negative, but we hear about all the negativity and it gets in our heads. It's not good for our mental health. We need to lean into the good.
Yes. Yes. And so this book was inspired by that project. So how did you decide to go about and make a jump like that?
Yeah, okay. So I was in the midst of other projects and actually Operation Frog Effect had just come out and I had made a lot of my books have kindness themes, I'll say. That's a theme in Operation Kind Effect. It's a theme in my book Mitzvah Pizza. And at the end of Operation Frog Effect, I listed some organizations that were doing good things in the world. One of them was to be nice. Then I reached out to them to let them know that I put them at the end of my book and to say, have you ever writing a picture book about a character named Dude. And they got back to me and they said, yeah, we've thought about that. We just didn't kind of know where to start. So then we started working together. And I have to say, I love Dude as a character name because the word dude can mean so many different things. It can be dude, it can be a discouraged dude. There's so many ways you can use dude. So I just kept visioning this character named Dude. So we partnered up and the organization is run by a lovely couple and we got to know each other. And it did take a while for it all to play out because the pandemic happened somewhere in there. But
Mhm.
I'm so glad to have the book today.
Yeah. So giving listeners a little bit of a sneak peek into the storyline, we have, of course, Dude, who is just an adorable, wonderful, lovable bear of a character who is trying his best to just spread kindness everywhere. But what the reader sees that perhaps Dude does not see, and maybe what some of the other characters see that Dude does not see, is that his intentions may not be followed, hitting the mark as he might. And there's a lot of fun in this book. I'd love for you to give listeners a little bit more of the storyline, but of course, without the
Just
spoiler of what happens at the end.
yeah, just a tease. Yeah. Um, I have the book in front of me, so I'm going to open up a page and read you
Oh,
a page.
wonderful.
The first page says, "Meet Dude. Dude's a nice dude most of the time." So that's the intro. And then he goes about deciding he's going to be extra nice. In fact, he's going to do everything nice all day long. And that's also a very young mindset. Little kids that they see things in black and white. And it's, you can be nice. You can't do everything nice all day long. That's a bit of a jump. And then he makes a plan, and I'll read you his list of
Oh,
things
good.
he thinks he might do, and then and that's on one of the first pages, and then I'll
Yes.
leave it at that and let you imagine. So
Perfect.
his excellent plan is to free some bees, pick pesky lint, hug a porcupine, water the weeds, comb a cat, floss someone's hard to reach places, bathe a bug, and sing in someone's ear. So he's out to be nice, and nice he'll be.
Mm. I think I loved, on the without giving a lot away, but the one of picking the fuzz off of the sweater, right? Very pure, very
Right.
kind intentions, and
Yeah.
then perhaps something goes wrong that listeners might be able to guess. And that happens, multiple times throughout the story, which I can just see kids leaning in to the book, laughing, calling out to Dude, trying to explain. And then as the story gets going and they get that perspective that Dude does not have of something else going on with Fizz, which is just
Yeah,
wonderful. Um, I can just see them really just leaning in and making Dude their friend so easily.
that's our hope.
Yes.
He's
Yeah,
well-intentioned, a nice dude doing the best he can, but he has some places to grow, right? As we all do. He
as we
makes
all do.
mistakes, and that's how he learns.
Right. Now, I want to make sure we talk about the illustrations.
Mm.
They're fantastic. I mean, there's something magical about the children's book industry that just seems to pair the right author with the most perfect illustrator to give this beautiful alchemy on the page. But there is something about these illustrations that are so delightful and so joyful. And then you have the white space in the background with this color palette that just screams joy and happiness. I would love to hear you talk about what you think of the illustrations because I just adored them.
I'm in love with them.
Yeah.
The illustrator is Alex, and she's a lovely human. And she did an amazing job. I agree that she has a perfect combination of illustrations that show deadpan humor. I mean, that's part of why it's funny is because dude's kind of like flat a lot of times and looking straight ahead, even though chaos is ensuing. And this beautiful color palette,
Yes.
and unique choices for the color she's creating in her characters. Um, yeah, she's amazing. I have no illustration skills myself, and I am just in awe of all illustrators, but specifically her. She created a character I think that could be loved for a long, long time.
I agree. I agree. This is going to be one of those characters that kids remember that
Mhm.
talk about as if they were real, which I do all the time because they, my books do feel like friends, but Dude truly has that potential, I think, to sit on our shoulders long after the book is closed, which obviously is the hope and, the intention. And then I imagine, the people behind the Dude Be Nice project just must adore this book and just have such joy at seeing it come to life in a new form.
Oh yes, yeah, they love it, and I think it allows them to reach another audience. So their typical audience is more like high schoolers, young adults, community. They often go into high schools and do presentations, and this allows them to bring their message much, much younger, which is where it all starts.
Yes.
Um, and I think another reason I like the illustrations and kind of the deadpan look is because we couldn't write a book that was sappy about being nice. That would be boring. It has to be funny, it has to be silly, it has to be unique. So
Yeah.
I think her illustrations really brought that to life.
They definitely did. And I know you're helping to bring this to teachers and to bring this message to students. You have some guides, right, that can help teachers literally bring this book to life in the classroom. I'd love for you to talk about that.
Yes, thank you. I would love to talk about it. Um, the idea, Dude Be Nice, it's a slogan, it's a name of a book, it's a company, it's a lot of things. But at the end of the day, we want everyone, all the dudes out there, to be nice. And because I work in a school and I help with a lot of social emotional learning um, interventions. I know how hard teachers are working to do a lot in a school day. Today's teachers are teaching the academics. Most districts have an SEL curriculum that they need to interweave into their day. There's a lot to get done, a lot of needs to meet. And so we created a social emotional learning educator guide, which is on my website and also on the Penguin Random House website, free download. And we divided the social emotional learning concepts. I think there's seven maybe concepts in this book. There's obviously the concept of empathy and kindness. There's growth mindset, is basically mistakes are how we learn. We've got being responsible. We have something we call the responsibility pie versus the blame game. Um, let's see what else. We've got feelings, understanding feelings, coping skills. There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff there. And so we've got it all in an educator guide. Each topic comes with discussion questions that a teacher can ask their class. and an activity that they can do. So if they want, they could read the book and pick the discussion topic and activity that fits most with their current needs for their classroom.
Hmm.
Or they could do a week of Dude and read the book on Monday and do a different activity each day of the week to the end. And one of them is something we call the Dude Dance. Because this book was co-created with the Dude Be Nice company, we have a Dude Be Nice jingle and a Dude Be Nice dance, which is available to play for your students, and then they can get their wiggles out with a Dude Be Nice dance.
Oh, I cannot wait to see that. So I will make sure that we have links to
Yeah.
the curriculum, especially the jingles and the dances in the show notes, because as a former teacher of little ones, that matters. That can just change the whole energy in a classroom for the rest of the day. So that is exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited about it. We want to make it easy for teachers. And this is just an entry point. I feel like there's um when you have curriculum that you have to use in a classroom, sometimes it doesn't feel as organic. But if you're reading a book, which you do anyway, and then you have organic activities that jump off and lead to certain educational, social, emotional learning points, it's fluid and it's quicker, it's better for time management. You can get more done that way.
Yeah. I've always loved intuitively as a kid, and now it's what I research in my position is this idea of bibliotherapy. And books help us feel better and be better and learn better and all of the things. So I just love that Dude Be Nice could be the catalyst for, gosh, so many things in the classroom that can, really just help kids in their real life. That is the true potential, I think, of a book, especially a picture book like this. So that's exciting. So exciting to help you launch
Yeah.
that out into the world. Tell me what your hope is for the book or what your hope is for readers who get the book in their hands.
That's a great question. And I think I have different hopes for different readers.
Hmm.
I hope that it's very helpful for teachers and librarians as they try to create positive school culture and community in their classroom and introduce some of these ideas.
Yeah.
I hope it's engaging for kids. I hope they fall in love with Dude. I would love for Dude to be a character they think of. And as a phrase they say, Dude, be nice. They can say to each other to just kind of self-correct. So I hope it hits on lots of levels. I hope it's a bedtime book for parents and their kids.
Yeah.
And I hope there's more Dude books. That would be my dream is that we could have Dude come to life in many more ways.
Oh, that would be wonderful to just have this be the tip of the iceberg of what we
Mhm.
could learn for Dude. And Dude can literally sit on our shoulder in so many different
Yes.
ways then.
Yes.
Oh, that's exciting. So tell us where listeners can find you so that they can dive into your other books. Of course, keep track of Dude and perhaps other Dude books and anything else that you end up sharing. I'd love to know all the places that we can find you.
Perfect. So my website is the best place to start. It's www.sarahlynbooks.com. And it's Sarah Lynn because when I started writing, I was very shy and I didn't even use my full name on my first couple books. I wrote with my first and middle, and that
Yeah.
stuck in terms of my website. But now I use my last name too. There you can find all my socials. Multiple books of mine have social emotional learning guides. Do Be Nice does, Operation Fog Effect does, Mitzvah Pizza does, Purple Up, which is a book celebrating military kids and their contributions, does, and How to Live on the Edge does as well. So there's lots of guides there. And then on my Dude Be Nice page, you can see a lot of the videos I talked about. We've got the Dude Dance video. The illustrator made a feelings chart that can be printed and used in the classroom with Dude having multiple different facial expressions. Um, yes, so there's lots of stuff there. It's lots of
Yeah.
goodies.
I know a few adults that could benefit from that chart too. This, right? This is not just
Yes,
a book.
exactly.
This is a
No, it's
book
for
for the
everybody.
world, as you mentioned.
Hmm.
It's a book
Yes.
that can literally make the world feel better.
Yes.
Well, I will make sure that links to your website, certainly links to the guide, definitely the dance. That's where
Yes.
I am heading soon, will be in the show notes to make it easy for everyone to find. And just thank you. Thank you for celebrating World Kindness Day with us today and putting Dude Be Nice out into the world. It's going to be a great book that does a lot of great things for the people who read it. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for being such a nice dude.
Thank you so much for that. And listeners, thank you for listening to another episode of KidLit Love, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the KidLit Love podcast. You'll find links to all of the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. You'll also find KidLit Love on Substack. That's where you'll find posts for each episode, monthly KidLit roundups, and an invitation to join my summer book club and go deeper into the world of children's literature. And if you loved this podcast and want more, you might like to listen to my other podcast called Get Literate. It's a podcast that explores all things books and reading, notebooks and writing to build a life you love. One more thing. If you love what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast, or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish community of KidLit Love. Thanks for listening.